Welcome back to Kaulignation, your one-stop shop for all things Kaulig Racing, Dingernation, SVGNation, and all things NASCAR. Our multiple choice question for this weekend is, how do you think SVG will fare at Iowa this upcoming weekend? He has put in the work in the Legends Car Series. I do think running that series has the opportunity to, as he put it himself, give him more reps and have a chance at being better at places like that. We're going to talk about that later in this video. But comment down below if you think SVG will finish top 5, top 10, top 15, or top 20. We would love to hear your thoughts. Check us out on social media at Kaulignation on X. Also, if you want to support the channel on another level, we offer a ton of bonus content over on Patreon, patreon.com/Kaulignation. We have a free preview video up right now. The link is in their description below, where we talk about the Josh Williams firing, what it could mean for Kaulig, if there's something to the Kaulig and Ram rumors. So that's up there right now. And we just released episode 2 of our Kaulig and Trackhouse Nation podcast exclusively over on Patreon at the Kaulig and Trackhouse Nation podcast tier or the VIP tier. It is a 90-minute whopper of an episode, so stay tuned for that. We would appreciate the support over there. Let's dive into this. So Iowa is this weekend, and I think it's a crucial weekend all around. It's a critical weekend, rather. It's a critical weekend for Kaulig Racing in the Cup Series, in the Xfinity Series especially, but it's also a critical weekend for SVG. Let's dive into the Kaulig stuff first, and then we'll get to the SVG stuff. So AJ Allmendinger and Ty Dillon. Look, AJ needs to stop the bleeding. We've been over the last 9 races, and to say it's been nothing short of a disaster would be an understatement. Now, I do believe AJ was showing some speed last year at Iowa, and then all of a sudden, he nails the wall, wrecked in both series last year. Didn't end well. Ty Dillon's coming off the runner-up finish in the in-season challenge from TNT. I think these two guys and this team probably isn't set up for the most success at Iowa, but Mike Cook mentioned in a previous interview that we did with him that they really worked on stuff when they went to North Wilkesboro. And I'm not saying that's a solid transition between those two tracks, but I do expect Kaulig might be a little better this weekend than what we're thinking. I sure as hell hope they don't unload and they're sitting there in 25th to 35th place. Nobody wants to see that. I got some confidence in that. But where there's more pressure for Kaulig this weekend is the Xfinity Series. As we've talked about at length this week, Josh Williams released from his deal at Kaulig Racing despite having a fully funded car. Carson Hocevar in the car this weekend. Talented young driver. What can he get out of that equipment? Will they see substantial improvement right out of the gate? Will he be able to figure out some things that are wrong? He's a young guy too. He's also a Spire driver, so everybody's watching those rumors of Spire potentially buying some of Kaulig's Xfinity equipment and Kaulig potentially buying the Spire trucks in order to go Ram racing. We'll see if anything comes of that for next season. But you have Carson Hocevar in that car, and you have the 2 other kids in Christian Eckes and Daniel Dye. The 3 of them have a ton of pressure to go out there and perform this weekend and take a step in the right direction. It's the beginning of a new chapter. Josh is out. Let's see what those guys can pull together. I'm not saying they need to go compete for a win, but it would be nice if some of those guys could go up there and battle inside the top 10 and have a solid top 10 run. The organization really needs that at this point. We'll see what happens. Obviously, there's a ton of rumors out there right now. It clearly flustered Chris Rice the other day in an interview on SiriusXM about being asked about, them possibly moving to Ram/Dodge. He didn't outright deny it. He didn't deny it at all, in fact. He confirmed that there were talks, and we'll see where that goes. Obviously, that could ruffle some feathers with their Chevy support. We'll have to see what happens. but there's definitely some smoke and maybe even some fire with all the talk that's been going on. SVG has put in a ton of work on the Legends Car Series. His results improving week after week, all the way up to a runner-up result, and then finally winning at Charlotte, which is not an easy track to run at. He mentioned it's reps for him. It's just about getting reps. Mind you, it's a different driving style than what he's used to. It's a chance to improve his short track game, and he gets to put that to test here this weekend. Iowa, for me, runs a lot like a short track, and I classify it as one. And we'll see what SVG is able to do here. You know, at the end of the day, he needs to be given more of an opportunity than he was at Dover. He was taken out of it completely. He pulled off a gutsy performance at Indianapolis, I thought. But if SVG can go out there this weekend at Iowa and run inside the top 20, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if he can, and if he can show that those short tracks reps have been helping, boy, this becomes a game changer to show up at a place like Iowa where there's very little information for the Cup Series teams and to go out there and be successful and have a solid top 20 run on the heels of managing a top 20 run with a car that was probably not capable of a top 20 last week. I think it changes the game for him. It's all about taking steps forward and how much you can progress as a driver, as a team. It's certainly not for the lack of work that he's putting in, because he's been putting in a ton of work, as we mentioned. I'm very intrigued at what Shane Van Gisbergen has the opportunity to do this weekend. You know, if he sits there and he runs 25th, that's not the end of the day either. Iowa is a very tough racetrack. The teams do not have a bunch of new information on it. I can't remember if I read that they're doing a new tire there or not, but at the end of the day, you still got to go out there and you still have to perform. And I'm looking forward to seeing if his added oval, reps will help him out here this weekend. In other news, we found out that V8 supercar star Will Brown will be returning to Kaulig Racing, this time in the Xfinity Series in the number 11 Chevrolet at Portland. He's going to have a good shot to go out there and compete. My guess is the only guy that's going to be head and shoulders above him at that race is Connor Zilisch. So he's got a chance to go out there and have a good finish, maybe even contend for a win. Obviously, he only lasted 3 laps at Chicago when disaster hit. Not his doing, obviously, but it's great to see Will getting another shot at this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications to all to keep up with all of our content. Check us out on Patreon for bonus content. Patreon.com/Kaulignation. And we will see each and every one of you in the next video.